Avraham ben Moshe ehunu ni se eye okatachi afrifa sheda ko China for no ho na okotwe tuo pum na odibie China for yi no kochiche nkofo because wate se na eye free events and eye fu evom sen krampo Cheddar so oba oba se adwumadie no nti eno no no so dirimeka wo mu se po eye events abato ne bedu so awatam tu ade akodi se adwumadie okoka sansem yi e fifi prat afidie so
sia Cheddar ede Cheddar beka say oba power ade oba first say ye galamsey no oba fight no oba Chinese for ni nyina agum me yan say say oketeche frifa me am no oketeche frifa adan ye galamsey CID ono akwache China for
I think so be hunu
Chinese for bebrebe akwache 3 ye ba beto abi
yeah I think
oketeche frifa o sa beto nya che galamsey for e mo nu kuratuo na police for na soldier for we but me pese be ya ade na kwese Avraham ne Kevin Taylor kunwie ya o de ko keteche frifa so nyame obo de japade ne gufom se pe leader oni mu nyansa na muntu na mu nyina mu enjoy ya leaders yi ba ya no mo ene chomo pocket ebe ka kire say galamsey na no on best stop galamsey no excavators 500 no omo shi ni nyina omo shi excavators be omo shi excavator be enyo ma no ko fa Chinese for ba dia ko gun wurem so oketeche frifa so na akwache Chinese for 3 ono fi so smart one oketeche frifa kute tu anani abra wo gboto kekra pe wa ye beto aba fi so ye so smart ya yina wa ha me se kro na se ye na itimu bi ye sole ye se NDC ni MPP ye NDC MPP ye all of a sudden oketeche frifa ni ebie e ma ne wo se sound NDC ye fantastic ba wo me is amazing me can say bedu about what time one and ye be the true and sincere youth fighting for the youth.
Avraham ben Moshe kan na enso ho a ena osanso ede kan ho se ohwemu a yisi pese odi dwumadie bi a nani enje ho ene se ombeso omuyi eye Cheddar edni free eye dwumaguru ase wo yi na free aguru nim na enye Cheddar nko ne alankyere maten ene yeyi o mafree aguru nim according to Avraham ben Moshe ensem wo de betu dwa no okane nyina wo fifi prat afidie no so
me si abato e ba beto yi omo pe kwan bia de amafia Cheddar ye ni nyina o monti ase say electoral commission hona mo ye adwuma no enye dan ye obi wo ho a ono so do Cheddar o open the make an butie meeting omo ko nyina kwan omo fa so omo mpe so omo mafia ye nkrofo mienu e ya lanchera mantin ene Cheddar because an nkrofo mienu we e be cause problem this election tibo ye man some person mafia Cheddar ye nyina ye say so ya ready ye so ye twan mo
why some person mafia no
adientia these politicians they know say we can change this country no mabo mine bro no move say de bia na akokora beba wo omo na nwenda sa branche betweliti enti Cheddar atwiniti no mu yem se je wo hwim ne kan kransa me kura masa akoka ho me kura makoka Cheddar ho ne de che se bebranda nwenda
na wo ka bibi se on person mafia eye Cheddar no mafia no say like what
omo ye yine film on person mo ye yine film but emfa obi aboa they should allow
Oni Alan
de Martin Oni Alan e person mafia mo ko musro Bible no krase uye ni yanka weni monte 7 years NDC communicate at ha MPP communicate at ha ni bisa MPP communicator say 7 years le de mo aye na kan na da ni kwekwa na story invisible things nkwa no mo aye eniema MPP aban na aye no it is in the spiritual realm and the physical ade hwa mebula egu Ghana who nim sanka from now brafi from now up to election e was sanka the whole social media a political discussion o de o MPP kuda ye campaign my MPP nanka kwa yesi akwa TikTok na kwahwe agado wache ezo aba mezo me say ye beto nkwase aba na wo kombede for years ye wa me kura podi yesi ma join Cheddar abato na nkwa bekasa Cheddar pacho untwa me nhye Germany na otwa me tumu a ma be so me manako na moya mini Cheddar bekasa on step it down na yenye campaign ma ba wo me ntu free Ghana nyam na mba hu 8 years odi opa ma mbufu person can make cast as a trim what you say or minua
but then one akoka one shares they say
Kevin is a fantastic guy me no bia oni obi nya asem a
Kevin be wo bia me chill
Kevin Taylor fantastic guy fantastic brilliant guy
no boy tight
but me say na me tell you tight kwa mistake ameka kire our tightness should not stop me from telling you
but not to be in the back door
da bia nya bia na back door ade na ba public so be can public sa na ye bobra se bra fi wo fom wo social media mu me fra wo back door kra na wo kasa e wo say still me ye a honest friend na me ye video na me ka wani wo public sa na ye no
na why ne ko pagya sa ntokwa we bai
won say nyetsia na start e bra me hu say e wo mu an no de personal attack no de akọ obi so obi di watemu a o de yasamuajan o de yesa akode o de ye stone boy na say kwa start de ye stone boy ye na respect yasamuajan say Ghana football untumi bo Ghana football enji Abedi Pele enji Tony Yeboah enji Franka Mankwa your players bi untumi yomu mfrim your players bi okra na Black Star omo ambo Black Star na amfele said yankobo pe but omo contribution to Ghana football untumi yomu mfrim obi say Charles Taylor obi te say eyi Dombo tenum Steven Odro no ne ade omo ambo Black Star amfele but ye ban ye local league na they were the face of the league anameboa
no
Nancy Asamuajan or a right as a citizen to belong to any party. Asamuajan say okoka ba womia team ho a. Kevin Ted na betro say na on board brebia na o say Ghana kra ye di Asamuajan 2 tables so ne bo ne chi no say penalty. Na only penalty Roberto Baggio say no. Only penalty Roberto Baggio say na. Maradona mu ina say penalty. Enti akwai say Kevin Taylor person kire say unye support Mahama wonni munyansa na me si wonyai hwe ne dan na Samoa issue hwe do di sister na tem o ayiri o do ba echi o enti me de ne say attack the message not the messenger
enti say me
ti anso de abacha da ye kronfo ba say oye nkrofo na be correct oye anama be correct
enti meaning say otowa nkrofo nkoka no
dabi
enkofo
ko promote ba wo mi apɛ o de da de lumba kra did that the lumba tem did that the lumba tem sa said that the lumba oye nwuma MPP nti ye adwuma o small boy be also didi Kempaluta tem say obi an follow Kempaluta ko chia ba wo mi. What are you telling me brafi meti we na ba wo mi afra me sa Avraham besramia menko
obekopa.
What do you upper on social media say? Manager Mahama picture cross circulate. On my case, my quad NDC. What kind of people are we? Taking Paluta, you know the Abano, and Juma, Ghana music, and I can say egu. And the cassette in this CD Nicobium, when you show a more combedo. I'm telling you, musicians be Bromco US, Uncle Jumao. Kopeka canodia, but to do negu. It is MPP for craft friends like Paluta. You will say, Onyum question ti ye nyoma MPP na okogini sika ye nyuma bone be no enye na adwuma impacho Shatawale we na Joma Hama ye program no se Shatawale be performing na be ju 50,000 Ghana onko eye na adwuma enti minim de enti a na wabe attack na o attack so a na do maame na do yire ne wo magina be mankasa no na mete so se Cheddar ye kronfo ena me ye dem se mate Kevin o kra ye me body mesraw se Cheddar ye kronfo na wan fa fact any proof na ma me kura waga me because na say me promote kronfo into for fact bra or the me ma besi wo and wo di me ma tem na me kai say me so smart channel me ne nya problem me mfa na yire ne mba mem because Kevin so camera ne baby ametna ho pato because atmase nto no konim to kwako kofa wo yire wo maame ne we bedi atam say da bi mo nya sa nti me se me twen say we ntumi amfa proof am message Joma Hama ye kronfo Cheddar ye kronfo a and the ensema ye kafa Joma Hama ho nyina ne confirm nyina so ye ne kore because it was without proof. Ebe pete Ghana ha nyina say we John Mahama e ka kire Asante Force yenti obia enye no kure o the media me see media no bloggers ne tina wono on be pam atade bi ahyewa wo de 9 years le be woro omno mu tina wono eye program na em say omo ye na otumfo wo
ai omo kwase that time ne na sa anyom no na aba so
sa anyom na aba
yenti obia
so ko program na se no ena Joma Hama ne otumfo kosa nti na anwum omo bo no eye yenti obia
eno mbe take
one of the propaganda say Joma Hama say yenti obia nti brafi dia ba me ne Kevin dede ni nyina no wow because yen trivia say nyesa yen guni pa ho fi na me video na twene dwuna asakra so ka ho hweda no wode se wa me he ebe gina ho sebe impreduasa sebe ade enche sebe brafi se wa me yonam we emema mutie mi na hwan onye oba we ya wompe very beautiful lady ena sebio nipa bodifo bia be liki one bema omodampa so eno kwa nye se omo ye bibio pato se wa me sebe oburu kwatidie
Ambrosoda.
Ah?
There be.
Oh no, then no be more pen on the befa. Can you join us this is the be jina ho na shawoni. We so word me to me nka wa. Ye ntire wi asesa wo. Can you join us so gabi? Obroni ge broni gabi I say Robocop. Sage no hybrid. Oh, battery share to. Oh, can you join us game? Oh, hybrid. Oh, them no can make. Oh, Robocop.
Debbie, wo chere say wo di attempt dey yen.
When you need an attempt, can you join us game? Oh, hybrid.
I don't know to be catch a big girl so
oh, Robocop.
No, you can't.
America phone creating the man.
Oh, say that. Mr.
Me make us and the Robocop the end yen.
Debbie.
What was again be another?
Oh, Debbie.
Can you join us say ban we battery ne
Debbie. Avraham, Mr. The payment was would the attempt. It is would the attempt.
Get near hybrid.
So person in the casa. You Chiniasem. Nanigan will cover me.
Cheddar no so say wa me ya ko bone bra e fa ne ho.
Debbie, oh,
Debbie, say wa me ye e koye ne mema say wa. Na kosua no eye nanum ana.
Na such an or your wow nipa so.
Why ni nipa?
If it's just early stages,
yeah, you promoting. Yes, you don't attack people for no reason and tarnish their image. You be wa ejuma mu ye didi ne ye ejuma ya mu ye journalist ejuma no ye na wo be tarnish ni image na ne hu be gufia ejuma wi akwa to make say da bi maame say de odin ase ne pa cha kotene fie no okom de na e de na abeka ye nya sa me ne Kevin Taylor enya back and forth man kan yire wan sem boni bia the American say if you no mutim no ba ne dia ogigina no ba ne bitu
they do evidence man now
o say
evidence man now and that's what said that wo
me said that oni kapre
oh jai
oni kapre me say 3 day abacha no chana wa bobra e na were ni si ko wo you know oyere de oba de ba gini na age nkura no e mo de trans
say dia wo ka dia wo huru do
Kevin tell e be ma said you odi ma e ma tem no e da na yiri be mistake no on blast no okay so far one try any chalwete ba ko
wow we dia huru do obi ade so huru Kevin keke yes we dey present na worker
Kevin
whatever it is the challenge mo try some best
oh so vum bi
se mo Avraham be moshi eken ene enam te se eye Cheddar agina bonten a wode eye se 9 pillars so bibibi a wode ba beto eye Ghana na wa kire ade kropotin opeso eye e de boa o my Ghana.
Our country rich with untapped potential, brimming with natural resources, cultural heritage, and most importantly, the indomitable spirit of our people. Our greatest asset lies not just in the abundance of our natural resources, but in our ability to self-industrialize, the economic revolution that promises immediate balance and widespread class prosperity. This is no small task. It is a challenge that has eluded many before me, often deemed unsolvable. Yet, in this moment, we face an undeniable decision that must be met with courage and wisdom. Talking is no longer an option. Action is imperative, and it must be swift. In a country where the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, we stand resolute with a higher purpose to build our nation and restore our rightful heritage. This policy is not just a vision, it is a call to action. A blueprint for a future where Africa claims its place on the global stage, not as a continent rich in untapped potential, but as a beacon of prosperity and progress. Let us embrace this challenge with the urgency it demands, for the time to act is now. Thank you. So I would like to start. Maybe I should go to the screen. And I would like to start with, as you see right now, you can see that there is an organogram with me beside it. In the middle of that organogram, you can see the apostolic governance, the 12 ministries. The 12 ministries will be responsible and accountable for these 12 pillars. We start this policy presentation, which is the developmental agenda, with pillar 1, the 16th regional industrial revolution. Well, as we already know, there are 15 dormant regions and one region that is choked. But we're about to revive the 15 and bridge it with the 1. I'd like to start with a video. So we can play the first video, which is the 16th Industrial Revolution. Let me know. Okay. Just let me know when. All right. So that was the first video of the Industrial Revolution. This has started the 16th regional industrial revolution. It's supposed to bring back the 15 dormant regions that we have left for so long and we haven't done anything. But tonight, I would like to unveil all the potential minerals, arable lands, and all that we have discovered through the research within the 15 regions to Ghanaians. Now, as you are seeing, we start by making sure we invest in all these 16 regions. That is industrial plants to be able to refine all our minerals. And then the processing plants to be able to process all our agro plants. So I would be able to take my time and take you through. Our research on attribution reserves shows that gold, iron ore, gas, bauxite, and lithium and diamond. The potential of agro-processing and all the arable lands in the country amounts to 2.5 trillion US dollars. This is the outcome of our research. We are determined to bring out every region's wealth. So as you can see, we have searched every region inside out and realized what sort of wealth that can be created there and projected it in the next 10 years. Ghana will have an economic output at 4.7 trillion with the 13 million hectares of arable lands. and all these minerals, we will also create 8 million jobs in a decade. Now, let me look at some of the places. I've already showed you Volta region. Maybe we should look at Ashanti region. Can we play the video for Ashanti region? Maybe we could see another region. So as you already seen, Ashanti is 240 billion worth of gold, minerals, lithium, and arable spaces for us to create the biggest potential of farming. Agro processing. We want to become exporters, not importers. I mean, let's look at Western region. Let's look at Western region. I think Western region is by far the richest region, if not in Ghana, on the continent. So you just saw Western region. It's one of my favorite regions. I believe that this region is going to become the Texas of Africa. This is where we are going to have the most industrial plants with the most minerals, the most agro products to be processed, and is right next to the coast. We can supply Africa and even supply the world. We have to take the Western region very serious. 420 something billion, it's something for us to take very serious, because one is going to create all the jobs in the western side and even bring people from other parts of Ghana. We are going into wealth creation, and I want to do this with you, Ghana. As you can see, wealth creation comes with job creation, but we produce 200,000 barrels of oil per day in Ghana. We sell this, and then in fact we let people extract it, go and refine it, then we go back to Europe and buy this same product premium and sell our fuel at 15 point something cedis per liter. All we have to do is build our refineries, and we will have competitive prices, and we will save the losses in the economy, the inflation in the economy, just because of industrialization. As we can see also, just our oil can also produce us all the petrochemicals. We don't need to import products. We need to export products. The more we import products, the more we drive our economy out of this country. The more we export products, the more we take in other people's economy into our country. And the more we would export, it means we have created jobs. You know, this is going to make Ghana become the powerhouse of Africa. Okay? We cannot do agric without the culture. Now you can see that we have a lot of farmers in Ghana, but we don't have the processing plants to process the farming products. So we do the agric, but we don't do the culture. The culture is the 7 times of processing one product, like cocoa. It can be chocolate. It can be cocoa butter cream. It can be a shampoo. It can be so many things. And there is the brownfields to create other things from this one product and create more jobs. As you can already see, 800,000 jobs per year within these 16 regions. That makes it at least 50,000 people getting a job in a region. I mean, I'm being conservative with the 8 million jobs in 10 years. But to be honest with you, a machine, a plant, is the only thing that can give you jobs in 3 different shifts. 8 hours times 3 a day. That is what I call 24-hour economy. You need industrialization. Who sells Gary for 24 hours in Makola? The women in Kyei-Duah and Kantamanto cannot work for 24 hours. It would take a factory. It would take a plant, a production line to give 3 shifts a day. No industrialization, no 24-hour economy. I have brought you your economic freedom. With all this potential, how do we connect our regions and transport the supplies on the industrial scale? That takes you to pillar 2. We've just finishing with pillar 1. I can hear you. Well, we have just finished with pillar 1, and I would like to introduce you to pillar 2. I want a nation to give me this moment and pay me this attention, because this is truly a vision, a policy, a developmental agenda, and with or without me, it must be applied. So let's go to pillar 2. Pillar 2 is the water transportation and inter-regional railway connectivity. This is Ghana's first water transportation. Now, as you can see, in the olden days, our fathers really had respect for these natural resources that we came to meet. But today, we don't have value for it anymore. We have to remember everything that we eat from on this land is grown by the water on this land. And there are so many regions that we can connect to by connecting the water. So let me tell you my vision about the water connectivity infrastructure. Now, one thing that I can see in this country, Lake Volta is the largest man-made lake in the world. Why are people not visiting Ghana to view Lake Volta? In fact, what have we done with Lake Volta? I mean, you have billions of dollars sitting in Lake Volta. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But our national grid of water transport, it's something that we should look at. When we look at maybe even going here and pointing to some of these things you're seeing here, okay? And I know this brings us to the moment of the sea coming to Kumasi. But as you can see, this is Cape Coast right here. And this is the Gulf of Guinea. So I can enlarge it for you to see. So this is Cape Coast. Right here, this river, River Pra. And I'm so sorry to mention what has happened to it, but we'll get to that. River Pra leads all the way to Ofin and goes over there to Anum and goes there to Birim and to Koforidia. So here is Kumasi right here. Okay, you can see it. Now what we have to do is something called industrial dredging. You can go back and look at countries like Egypt that have used and dredged and had canals that generate 9.4 billion a year. The canals are meant for a lot of things, and the water transportation are also meant for a lot of things. The irrigation of this country for all our plants and all our crops will need industrial irrigation. So we need to do it one way or the other to support the system. The ferries, the cruises, the leisure, the transportation and the logistics that will move all the industrial products that we are about to manufacture will be pooled on this water. Irrigation and purification and logistics is one of the most important things in this world. Now, I can tell you that Ghana imports almost 89% to 92% of the things in this country. How did it get here? At least a fraction of 90% of that came on the water. So we need to make use of our water. It's very, very important. It will bring so much for tourism. So with the support of us connecting all this water together, we are not only going to have an industrial scale to support the agriculture, but also we will raise tourism and we will have the biggest distribution channel that connects to the coast. And the coast can connect to the world. We intend very soon to supply the world with what we're about to industrialize with the 16th Industrial Revolution. Now, not only that, I know I've been talking about waters, but I know that's not the only infrastructure that you need for transportation or for logistics. The railway network is part of our vision. Our vision is to develop a comprehensive railway network exceeding 8,000 kilometers. That is 1.5 million tons of steel. It will be very difficult to import this from outside. That's why we have our eyes on the iron ore in the Industrial Revolution, and some is in the eastern and some are other parts of Ghana. We will be able to manufacture our own steel and create that 8,000 kilometer railway track that will cost us billions of dollars if we had to give it out on contract. And connect and build the eastern corridor, the western corridor, and guess what? The gist of this vision is to also drive the railways to the three borders that faces Ghana. The one in Togo, the one in Burkina Faso, and the one to Ivory Coast. When it gets to the edge, we stop. That is us creating new transportation and logistical path and not remain on the colonial roads that was built for us. Now we're making our own paths to distribute our own goods. But when it gets to the border, the government of that country is responsible to continue. This is going to give us a railway and a speedway around West Africa. Once every country continues from there. Well, I'd like to tell you something. It's likely when we get to the border, Ghanaians will be contracted to continue the railways. Because guess what? We will have the steel, we will have the skills. Just like what the English did to Europe. Once you have the skills, once you have the funds, and once you have the reserves, and you have industrial power, you're in control. And so, this is our plan for Pillar 2. And as you can see, the water connectivity is important and the railway connectivity is coming to that. Now, the moon needs the sun to shine, right? So does the Pillar 2. It needs Pillar 3 to thrive. So let me introduce you to Pillar 3, and that is our developmental policy 3. Energy city and a technology hub. Energy city. And I know most people haven't probably seen this, but Energy City is built in countries like Bahrain, Qatar, many places. That's a consolidated energy resources and pipelines and big offices that connects with all mineral resources that produce energy. So our Energy City is definitely fit to add value to our industrial vision, to be able to create more megawatts, to be able to create more substations when we tap into our gas pipelines, be able to use our gas and our water. As you can see, there is hydroelectric power plants we have to expand. There will be wind farms, there will be solar farms, thermal power plants, such as natural gas and biomass power plants. Our energy sources will need to meet our industrial demands and the demands of our people. We need to build pipelines, and it's very important. I mean, when I say pipelines, pipelines across the regions to support the energy system and the infrastructure. But all of this is great to do. Ghana, just remember, we need even to move with the larger step going forward. I want to say this, 640 million people in Africa do not have access to energy. I don't know if you know this. It's more than 50% of Africans' population. Well, let me use this opportunity to introduce a subdivision idea behind this policy or this vision, and that is introducing the nuclear power plant in this country. We will be one of the main people and one of the best in the world to have taken this idea and implemented. The nuclear energy is rare in the world, and more so in Africa. But we have a chance to establish international relationships. We also have the chance to now trade uranium with Niger and Namibia. That's connecting already to be able to build this. We will position ourselves as the heart of Africa. Nuclear power plants does not only reduce the cost per kilowatt, but it just makes electricity affordable, visible, accessible. We need this because they have it, but we don't. And we're struggling. More than 50% of us, we still don't have light in 2024 when we have uranium sitting. No energy, no technology. But technology is a must. Ghana needs a technology hub. And that's why we've combined technology hub with the energy city. When I say technology hub, I don't know if the old school will really understand what I mean, but I will have to break it down. Okay? It's a combination of Silicon Valleys and a whole industrial platform. Okay? To build all technological gadgets that the world demands. Everybody today is holding an iPhone, or they have a laptop, or they have a tab. But we don't produce these things in our country. We have the minerals already. We have lithium. We have recycling plastic. Going into industrialization is going to give us the capacity to be able to build our own mobile phones and our own laptops, and we can produce our schools with laptops that will teach them what we want them to learn right from the beginning. We are in control of our destiny by producing it ourselves. And it's there. We just need to make sure that we put these plants and get this energy and produce these products and do this packaging and trade it to the world. That is creating jobs, creating value, and being in control. See, one would think it's only mobile phones and laptops and electricals that you need when you're building a technology hub. No. Data centers. Our data centers are very, very important. So we intend to build more data centers, okay, to support the technology hub. But when they talk about data center, a lot of people think data center is just to store information and data. No, it goes beyond that. We want to position ourselves for the crypto farming in the world. So what our data centers is going to do is that it's going to start mining digital coin, tokenizations. We will tokenize. We will mine digital coins. We will mint. And I know the young people, the youth understand where I'm going with that because they know they're the future. This is the future of finance. And it's trillions, multi-trillions of dollars. We need to tap into this industry and have the power for them to create demand from us. This is going to make us become the gateway to the multi-trillion dollar Web3 industry in Africa. This technology hub is going to put us ahead. We envision that Ghana leads the software revolution in Africa and the hardware revolution in Africa. We need data centers, and we do, to even support our artificial intelligence and deep learning. It's obvious that no energy, no technology. That said, without industrialization, there will be no digitization. It is impossible. Hashtag, it is impossible. No industrialization, no digitization. Let me take you to Pillar 4. I know you're with me. And Pillar 4 is one of my favorite pillars. You see, we have been talking about all these great things and all these developments and all this wealth building and all of this job creation. But there's one thing that I learned from our ancestors. You know, when I was learning from how the other people governed this world, the likes of the Egyptians and the King Solomons and the Mansa Musas and all the Americans and Europeans, they took one thing seriously. The Africans are not taking it serious. And that is reserves, reserves, reserves. Even an ant stores food. You need to store things. You need to have reserves. We are a nation of 33 million people. What have we prepared for our future? Where is our oil reserves? Where is our gold reserves? I mean, up until recently, we had only 7 tons in our central bank. And this information is public information. Up until recently. I don't know if it's really gotten to 14 now, because the last time they needed more tons just to borrow money. But that's all. And you have the likes of multinational companies like the Goldfields, and they have moved 300s of tons from this country, and we can only have 7 tons as our reserves. Why is Qatar keeping 500 tons as reserves? Why does England have 3,000 something just gold reserves? Why? I mean, what is it going to cost us to build our own hard rock mining? To go for the target, I want to take that first 200 tons as reserves in this country. I will do whatever it takes because I already have the gold on the ground. And we, as the new force, as the new generational leaders who are thinking with vision, we would make sure that we create that reserves for gold, and fund or money will not be a problem. But not only that do you need in reserves, not just gold or not just oil. Some of the biggest things in this world, you'll be surprised, is the food we eat every day. It's the basic necessity. And if you can have that, you have the opportunity and the power to feed the world. So we intend to build the biggest seedling bank and have food security for 100 years. It's called agro reserves. That's what we need. We would nurture this. We would actually feed this. And we are going to have food for a good 100 years. Reserves. The farmers will buy from us. If Ivory Coast run out of cocoa, they will buy from us. If India needs food, they will buy from us. This will make us like Joseph, feeding the 7 years of famine, because we have kept the reserves. There are minerals that we can keep reserves. There is copper, there is iron, there is bauxite. All we have to do is keep extracting, keep creating the jobs with the people and letting them have the chance to be able to bring these things out of the ground and keep it as reserves. Whenever you refine any of this or you plant any of this, the value can be from times 5 to 10 or 15. It quadruples, it triples, it multiplies. Well, I've been talking about food, I've been talking about gold reserves, I've been talking about food reserves. All these reserves, it's for the state, it's for the nation. This is what I call a japadia, the real japadia. Because you need an equity of what belongs to you. As one, we have to have a share of whatever that is on our grounds. We have to get jobs from it. We have to create wealth out of it. And we have to get the skill set out of what belongs to us. It's on our ground. We are the landlords of Ghana. It should be shared among us equally. But with all the reserves, there's one thing that I would like to add. And I know we probably never thought of it. But why do we buy money? Why do we have to go to England or go to Switzerland, to Delarue, to print our money? And after we fly or ship the money, before we have money? What happened to the industrial power that we're creating now? We are going to print money at home. We don't need to go to England or America to print money. We don't need to go anywhere else to go and buy food and bring it here. We don't need to pay 7 times the taxes of whatever that is already in our country and someone has just packaged it. We go and buy it for premium price and bring it back here. That stops because we are going to create it here. Now that we have more reserves, and have even cash reserves, what is next? Fellow Ghanaians, I like to say this. Pillar 5, it's from the bottom of my heart. And this, even when we are not here, this should take us through the centuries. This should not make you just remember me. This should make you know that when I'm not here, my absence will be felt. Because I have found a way to take you back to Susu, where you came from, how your ancestors, your older gods, your fathers survived in the 500 BCs. We are going to create the National Sovereign Wealth Fund. This is the new IMF. Well, at this very point, Ghana is going to help me launch the new IMF because verbally it said, but physically and mentally, we are about to implement it. This pillar is a new policy and it would destruct, disrupt, and dissolve. But eventually, it will rebuild our heritage value. In the past, our minerals have been extracted and exported for pennies. We're ending it. The National Sovereign Wealth Fund is the new IMF, independent and autonomous. It will collect every reserves, and it will keep it and it will protect it. Will nobody have to pretend you're not accountable or responsible for our own anymore, because now it's secured within the National Fund. And if anybody needs anything within the ministries or the government, let them go to the fund. And they will know this fund has more wealth than IMF or the World Bank can ever give them. And they will know it all came from these grounds. It's the reserves, your gold, your cocoa, your 100 years of seedling banks, your tax reserves. Feed the fund. 100 million barrels of oil, 100 years of seedling reserves. All of this is going to be in the Wealth Fund of Ghana. Now, let me tell you the interesting thing about the tax reserves. To increase our reserves, we decided that we're going to minimize the corruption in the tax sector. Because you can see in a box, maybe there is, let me see if I have a tax reserve box here. Something to explain it better. But you can see that we have almost 45% of royalties, of taxes, of many things that we collect. And yet, we don't see that value. What we are saying now is that we simply are going to take 30% of all gold extracted, all minerals extracted as income tax, no royalties, nothing. 30% of everything extracted from the multinationals, and it goes directly into our reserves. And that's where we quadruple the value. We multiply the value. So our taxes, one, is not going to go missing again. But two, is going to be in the form of raw material. And three, our industrial platforms will quadruple that. We need the reserves. That determines how rich we are, how wealthy we are in a country. And for me, we have found something good for Ghana. I hope the African countries can take this blueprint as well and start making sure that they have their own reserve banks, just like all the first-class countries in this world. They have reserves. That being said, I'd like to take you to Pillar 6. I think this is my favorite. But I know I have a lot of favorites in these 12 pillars. These pillars are supposed to be the pillars that holds the structure of this country. We look at this country as a structure before we can protect the roof of this country, before we can protect the floors of this country, the grounds of this country, the foundation of this country. And that's why I believe that the SNIT revolution is going to revolutionize Ghana. Now let's go into this. The SNIT revolution is solving three major needs, but I also call it major problems of Ghanaians. And that's health, education, and accommodation. Currently, contributors of SNIT have to pay and wait up to 40 years to pension before they be qualified for their claims. Some will die halfway and it will not even be given to their children. Some will never even see this. But we have changed it. As from now, we would say that our policy would be turning the SNIT into a nation's insurance fund. This insurance fund is interesting, and I'd like to take you through it. Ghanaians will now be eligible to claim for their health, education, and accommodation. How so? Because in the next 5 years, you can claim your SNIT back. You can claim it in cash, or you can invest it in insurance. If you invest it in insurance, and then you have one of the major problems or the needs in Ghana, which is either I've lost my job and I don't have somewhere to stay, that your 5,000 or 10,000 savings in SNIT can become times 10 to get you home. An accommodation, somewhere to stay. You can put in the claim. You can put in the claim when you have a major health issue, like how you go to hospitals and the people die first because maybe they don't have the cash first. This policy is cure me first, bill me later. You can go to the insurance funds. We're not going to let people in the country be homeless and fall out on the street because they have no jobs. Your SNIT fund is supposed to be able to become the insurer that will get you that home. And this is what is going to happen. Once we do all of this, we're going to create a fund. This fund will guarantee payments for investors. So I'm a developer. I will be interested if I know that 100,000 Ghanaians will rent homes from me as long as there is a claim and guarantee payment. So it makes sense for me to put a feasibility study together for whatever investment partners and do that development because it turns around. It's also going to attract investors in the hospital area. It's going to attract even educational facilities. It will bring all of that together. I know that this next revolution might be stepping on some conditions that already exist. But sometimes we need to change our clothes when they're too old or when it's dirty. We just need to move on. It's another day. And so let's change it and let's move on. Now, Pillar 7. I know I've been saying all of this, but it say if you want to educate a nation, you educate the woman of that nation. And it will transcend. It will go down further. We believe that education in this country needs to be tweaked, changed, make it adaptable to our culture. And that's why Pillar 7 introduces to you industrialization. It's industrialization with education coming together. We coined this word by merging industrialization and education. Why do we continue to use a curricula and a syllabus that are over a century old? And why is it talking about Europe and America? Why can't you study about your ground? Why don't you know about how to dig your gold? Why does it have to take somebody to come from outside to find where your gold is? Why do you have to give your cocoa to someone before he turns it to chocolate for you? What happened? What happened to you knowing about your sea, that you have oil in there and it can create petrol for you? We need to educate Ghanaian children about Ghanaian values, culture, minerals, the minerals and how it gets processed, and agriculture and the values that can come out of it, the power of supply and distribution. We need to de-westernize the curriculum. And that's exactly what we're doing. We need to build an industrial mindset, very important. Industrialize the curricula, tailor education to our industrial needs, and out of that, we're going to start building entrepreneurs. We're going to start building industrialists. We're going to start building business leaders. See, what I've realized about Ghana's education is you spend 21 years of educating yourself, and then after, you go look for a job, only to find out that there are no vacancies. When you can be a businessman before you even get your degree. Why do we keep going out there looking for jobs? Knowing the value of our nation, there is a need to protect it. And let us educate our children so whatever we leave for them, they can guide it and they can build the future for the ones who are coming. I'd like to take you to Pillar 8 right now. And Pillar 8 is environmental and human rights protection. Well, environmental might not sound so serious. Human rights, we don't really care about it, but it's very important. Maybe we should start from the environmental protection. Do you know that protecting this environment means you're protecting your reserves? Look at the reserves, I've spoken about it. Look at the trillions. Look at the amount of jobs that it can create. Look at the economy. Look at all of these things. So it's our reserves. And guess what? We are now protecting our reserves. That is our hidden treasures. The reserves is also in the hidden lands, in the waters, the oil, the fishes, the gold, the bauxite, the lithium. It's all in the ground. It's in our water. It's in our farms. So why are we not protecting it? Why is maybe an institution like EPA busy chasing me for residual income or chasing the average Ghanaian for a permit that is given already when their main aim is to protect these valuable assets? Okay, I mean, you're looking at something like the water poisoning of this country right now. It's hilarious. Almost every water body is poisoned. And we are talking about a water connection, purification, and irrigation. Do you know what it's going to cost us to do that? This water purification, to get all our waters back to the way it is. Do you know that this water poisons the land? And this is the land that we grow our crops on. Why do we poison our lands where we grow the food on? Why do we poison the water that we live on, the reserves? Why do we continue to poison the waters that we have our fish from? Why are we poisoning everything? And if it's not us, why do we allow people to do it? Why are we destroying the forests that cleanses the air for us? This policy is for us. It's supposed to be highly valued. Our national assets, our forestry reserves have billions and trillions of dollars sitting in it. But no one is protecting it. And no one is counting it. And no one has got stock of it. But yet we're running around. We're sitting on gold but looking for money. Yes. And when you look at all of these things that I've said, you see there is the Forestry Commission, there is the Land Commission, there's all these commissions that can collect commissions. But first, what I think we should do is to build something that would take the records of our lands properly and all national assets on a blockchain platform. This is where the technology hub comes in. So we're going to have a Web3 blockchain development centers that take stock of everything that we have in this country and control. And it goes in their national fund. Industrial purification to clean our water bodies, overhaul the EPA, and ensure that it delivers the duty effectively. Let's enforce environmental protection laws with no fear or no favor. Environmental protection alone is not enough. We need to protect the rights of our people. The human rights protection. I mean, I wanted to show the video of what I saw today with River Pra. I hope that they managed to show it. Yes. So we know that we're a problem now, and let's go to the human rights protection. Okay, for me, democracy is only an illusion unless the people's voice can be heard. But why have we disenfranchised millions of young people for so long? Why? Why have we stifled their voices? Let's allow the young people to vote. Let's allow them to have a voice. Let's remember that we've lived more than half of our future, or we have already outlived our future, and let's prepare the grounds for the young people. Let their voice be heard. Let them be a part. Use the appropriate institutions to educate young people about their voting rights. That's democracy. It's their voting rights, their human right. The voter registration must be open and accessible so long as a citizen turns 18. Let's not take this right from them. And then also, let's protect our journalists. By any means possible, this is freedom press. Let's ensure that there is press freedom in the country. Encourage the citizens' journalism also to deal with facts, but also protect them so they can speak and their voice can be heard. Let's make greater leaps towards aligning Ghana with Universal Declaration of Human Rights for the protection of all men, women, and children. This is to allow every single Ghanaian citizen to be valued, treated with dignity and respect. I call this equality. Give people fair trials by incentivizing pro bono lawyers for the underprivileged so their cases can be dealt with. We have had lawyers as precedents, but we live under a virtual dictatorship. The end is now. And thank you. This brings me to Pillar 8. All right, so at this point, being at Pillar 8, well, I've been talking for a while now. I think I'd like to take a little break, but let me call the moderator. Let me just bring Kafui back on stage. Kafui, I want to use this moment to thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Nana.
I know we were supposed to have an interview once, and it got cancelled. I don't know for whatever reasons, but it's fine. Now we're together, right?
Indeed, God works in mysterious ways.
Yes, and I love it. Why are we doing black and white tonight?
Well, it's
what's the code?
it's black and white.
Black and white.
Everything is clear.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
That's it. So, what do you think so far? This is the 8th pillar, but the 9th pillar is a big thing. So, I want to take a little break, but I just wanted to hear from you.
Yes, so there's a lot of action virtually, and so people are connecting with the first ever virtual policy launch in this beautiful Republic of Ghana, and keep those interactions coming in. We'll take a quick break, and we want you to keep your eyes focused on two numbers, 10 and then 276. 10 is for the 10-year plan from the New Force movement, and 276, well, you need to watch. So take a look, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
It's almost been an hour and some change into the evening since we started this presentation of our developmental agenda and the policy. But now I'm about to get you into Pillar 9, the Apostolic governance, the 12 ministries. I mean, Apostolic governance, it's a title, it's some title right here, but it's the 12 ministries. They say less is more. Our government will be the leanest, most efficient in the history of African politics. We present to you the apostolic governance, 1 president, 12 ministers. Create a lean government that will be responsible for the 12 pillars. Now let me start. I'm going to press this. Like when you go into one of this, maybe we can press one of them. And let's pick one. I'll take you through a few of the ministerial mandates because I think it's very important that you know what they have to do. So we start with Ministry of Finance. Over the years, there has been a lot of judgment debts, a lot of salary shortage, a lot of paying and paying and paying without returns. We realize that, not to put blames on anyone, that the Ministry of Finance is struggling. So our mandate is to make the Ministry of Finance become an investor and a developer for the nation building. It should be their responsibility. They should be accountable for it. You know, we want them to be able to go to the sovereign fund, the IMF, and ask for 10 billion for a project that would be supervised, monitored, controlled by us. Our investment going into industrial, going into commercial, going into retail, we should be a part of it and we should control it. And there should be returns. We should not just use our Ministry of Finance for spending. We should use our Ministry of Finance for investment. We have to purchase for right purposes that brings returns. The returns that will pay. And that's how it should circulate, just to stabilize our economy. I can pick maybe trade as well. Well, trade, it's been like a dormant ministry for me over the past decade. Trade is to make Ghana one of the biggest African exporters. The aim of having all of these 16 industrial regional industrial revolution and having a development in minerals and agro processing and packaging and food and this and that is to be able to trade. Now let's think about after is a big project. That's 50. Secure the right salary and structures and benefits for security service.
Obedi ho nkomo ene ensem de wakeka mebre a enye asem ketwa. Anyway, we did Ekuonaba betimi do comment go. Nkofo ya baya ye betui December yi. Alan Baumia Cheddar ana afi so Mahama. Ohwemu asa nkofo fu yi fa comment go ho ana be fa aba no.